right. Once again, big introduction. Who am I here with today?
Hello, my name is Moses Riek. I'm a South Sudanese Australian immigrant. I've grew up in Melbourne here all my life, but I'm a lived experience youth practitioner now. I'm using my lived experience to help those that come after me, those that are beside me, and those that are in front of me in some cases. I was born in Khartoum, South Sudan. I was 3 years old when I moved here. That was in 2004. I'm the oldest of 6 here in Australia, but I've got 4 siblings in South Sudan. But yeah, I've got 5 younger siblings, 4 younger brothers and 1 little sister. When I first came to Australia, I remember just being excited, you know. I know I was young. I remember learning English from The Simpsons, walking to and from school, in just this beautiful country. What surprised me was the food, the different food, you know. Being South Sudanese, we eat a lot of, say, the cultured food, you know. You get the malah and things, but the fast food here, you know, you get addicted to it fast, you know. And yeah, I started to enjoy that. But yeah, I think the food was a big culture shift. We came here and we migrated to Sydney. I grew up in Blacktown there. I was there for a few years. And then we moved to Melbourne from there. I moved to Melbourne in 2007, so 3 years from arriving in Australia, we moved to Melbourne and we lived in the countryside in Morwell. Growing up in Sydney, where I grew up in Blacktown, there was a lot of South Sudanese there, so we did have a sense of community there. I remember being able to safely walk to and from school and with my friends. It was a really good environment in Sydney. And then I came to Melbourne, and I think we were a bit more scattered here, the South Sudanese community. So we didn't really have that much community around us, especially landing in countryside in Morwell. But as I grew older, the more South Sudanese came, I guess, and we've grown a really big community here in Australia.
How would you describe yourself in 3 words as a child?
In 3 words, I'd say smart, troublesome, and cheeky, a bit cheeky. My school experience, I lived in Cheltenham for a bit as well. Cheltenham, that's out near Moorabbin. I was the only South Sudanese kid there, you know. So you felt alone, really. It was a completely different experience from being in a school full of your people that look like you. As I moved to Pakenham, which is my hometown now, that's where I found a really big South Sudanese community, and I really found a sense of belonging, you know, as a kid. For the earliest I can remember, I felt like I went to school with a lot of South Sudanese kids, you know. So I think that period in Cheltenham was a small period of my life when I was a kid. But yeah, for the African Australians that are born here, we are very lucky. They call this a lucky country, you know, as they've said we've survived a few financial recessions. But in general, I feel lucky, like every day to be here. For growing up here especially, but there is the luck, but there is a culture clash, you know, between your parents being South Sudanese and you being South Sudanese Australian born. There is a bit of a culture clash, but once you find the sweet spot and the balance between the two, and it's amazing, you know. The possibilities in Australia, being Australian, getting a good education, finding some stable work, it's amazing once you find that spot. So how I would describe myself as a teenager, I'd say still smart, but I'd say lazy. I had very bad habits in school as a teenager. I didn't do much homework, which is a bit cheeky of me still. I was very into sports, you know, and I was very committed to sports. I loved just moving around and being fit. And I was a very social person as a teenager. When I look back at it, the case, me being a bit lazy and having bad habits as a teenager, is due to being thinking that I was too smart for the work, like getting the work done easy in primary school and high school, and I'm just rushing through it. So I felt like I didn't have to put much effort into it, which accumulated bad habits over time, over my schooling years, you know, in high school. The advice I'd give to someone is to still, even if you do get the work, if you feel like it's a bit too easy for you, ask for some advanced work, you know, ask for things that will stimulate your brain. Talk to your teacher, you know, talk to your teachers, talk to your parents, ask for some more stimulating things, because you want to get all the little things done. If you want to achieve some big things, you've got to get all the little things in order, you know, because those little things could come back and haunt you and come back and bring those big things down.
Were there any other difficulties in high school where there was peer pressure or group of friends that also impacted your trajectory?
Yes, definitely. Once I was a teenager, there was a period of where I was disengaged from school, and I found interest in the negative peer groups that were around. I was always quite piqued about what they do. You could see young men, young kids, young teenagers at your age that have all these fancy clothes and are doing fun things, staying out late, and it piqued my interest as a young man. Go back to being a bit disengaged from school. What it looked like really was I was coming up in the social media age, so you'd see people, they would post with money, flash cash online, post with jewelry, driving cars at a young age, and you think, how are they doing that? It piqued my interest, and I thought I would like to learn how to drive. I would like to, have some look good in some jewelry, have some new clothes, some basketball gear, some basketball shoes, basketball socks. That's what really got me, I'd say. Once my attention was grabbed, the next step was about me doing the actions that led to getting those things, Those things led to the start of a path down a crime escalation, really. You start with the small things. I started with the shoplifting, and because I came from a low-income household and a single-parent home, we didn't get to have as much things as we wanted, If I saw another way to get it, I thought, and I seen people getting away with it, I thought, I would like to try that, So you start small, you start with shoplifting, and that just escalates onto more serious crime. Around that time, I speak a lot about identity. My identity was grounded heavily in sports. I wanted to be a professional basketball player, and I took it very serious, and I went to a very high level in that. Once I lost it, because I lost it due to breaking my leg, I didn't know what to do with myself, And I think that's a really critical point for especially someone as a young man. As an adult now, maybe I know how to deal with a bit of identity loss or searching, going in different ways. But as a young man, it was really crushing towards me, I want to teach parents, guardians, facilitators in the practice to look for those signs and risk factors. If a child is not doing the things they usually do or not getting the happiness, enjoyment in simple things or everyday things, I want to teach a bit about that. I want to talk a bit about the process of rehabilitation. Mine came from, I'd say, a place of wanting to change from life experiences, really. So I say this to my young men all the time. You can either choose to change, you can wake up and look around in your environment and choose to make that active decision to change. Eventually, in that lifestyle that you're living, something traumatic is going to happen, and you're going to be forced to change, really. And for me, it was a bit of a mix of both. I chose to change at the start. That was rooted in a lot of tragedy and trauma, In our South Sudanese community, we were losing a lot of young lives, and I felt like I was a contributing factor towards that in that lifestyle, Making it seem attainable and making it seem flashy to young men, young impressionable minds. I wanted to do the complete opposite of that. I wanted to educate young men on what this lifestyle really entails, and the horrors and the scarcities of it. So once I made that decision, I went through a really dark period in my life. I was alone. I made that decision actively, and then I had to completely change my environment. So in saying that, I had to be alone, because all my environment was the antisocial life. That was all I had and all I grew up on. So once I made that decision, I was lonely, and I sat by myself for a while. I sat in that loneliness. In that loneliness, I learned a lot about myself. I learned who I am. I learned where I want to go, who I want to be. I got in touch with that good person that I've always been, and got rid of this fake image that I was putting on, really. After that, I came out, started to build and form my new identity, and I did that slowly. Once people seen that my intentions were pure, that I wanted to do good this time instead of destroying people or doing bad, I found my family, I found my people. I found people that think like me, people that have gone through the same things as me. It's been wonderful since. About change, I say it is hard. It's hard, man. You will go through it, but it's not impossible. Especially now that there are supports in place, such as myself. I'm all for change, especially young men that are at risk of entering the youth justice system or in the youth justice system. I'm all about change for them and seeing their potential, seeing them through the other side of that change. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to go through what I went through. You can have a support person. Change is possible. So to give you some ways you can start to change, it all starts with that decision. That decision within yourself that you accept responsibility and you want to be accountable for everything you've done, but you want a better life. So you have to make that decision, and you have to be proactive. Look for people such as myself that actually have been through that change and have been through the worst of it. Try to get in contact with them or the programs that they're a part of or the organizations. It lies on the professionals now. The professionals have to meet that person halfway. This young person's coming to you and they want to change. You've got to put in the work. You've got to put in that work and find out how you can help them as much as possible. It will take a lot of belief from the professional. You have to be fully invested in the young person, but if a young person's coming to you to change, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it, definitely. The reason I wanted to change is because I was seeing a lot of trauma and tragedy in my South Sudanese community, and I was very close to it. It started off maybe being a distant friend, and it came closer to being a friend and then a cousin, and I was very close to all of the trauma, and I felt like at any point it could have been me. It could have been me, and I didn't want to be a tragedy or cautionary tale to anyone. I wanted to be able to prevent that. I wanted to bring other people up to do what I'm doing as well. I also want success for my South Sudanese community. I just want us to be successful and excel in our lives. I know that we've gone through the worst possible traumas and tragedies in life, being immigrants coming from war-torn countries, resettling in a new country that we don't know anything about, having to build up our new networks and connections. And I feel like if we can go through all of that, once we're in place and we have people that are walking before us, doing well, I feel like if we can just follow their pathway, we can do better things than the people that came before us, really. Give change a chance. I was in the lifestyle that I was previously in for, say, 8 years maybe. That was until last year, maybe 2025. Since the start of 2025, I've tried a new lifestyle. And within the span of 1 year, I've done so many incredible things. It's all within 1 year, and it outweighs everything that I've done in the past 8 years. It completely changes the narrative. So I'd say give the same amount of time to change as you've given the street lifestyle or the antisocial lifestyle. Give that same amount, and I guarantee you will never look back at all. You'll never. I feel like my main focus now would be to make sure the next generation has their own people that have changed, that are coming back as lived experience practitioners and coming back to help the people behind them, you know? So I feel like what's next for me at that point is to bring those young men up, put them into my position, really. Put them into my position, because I feel like as I get older, I won't have, I'd say, maybe as much touch with the young people, and it's good to pass it on to the people younger than me so they can influence and impact the people younger than them. I feel like that's the next chapter for me. I'm proud that I get to come home to my mum and she's happy. She's happy to see me. Like, I'm happy and proud of what I'm doing. So I'm proud of the fact that my mum is proud of me, and it's not getting a call that I've done something disappointing. That it's all positivity now. You know, of course there are things that come with this new life, like, you know, the challenges in life, things that can really set you back. But I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of being able to help my community. I'm proud of young men looking up to me in a positive light. I'm proud of them not looking up to me to follow me down a negative pathway. I'm proud that young men, impressionable minds, want to actually be like me, you know. And I feel like I'm happy to say to a young man that you can be like me, you know. And I'm proud that I feel like I'm showing people that nothing's impossible. You can become whoever you want, whenever you want. You just got to put in the work for it. I'd like to thank, first of all, my mother and father for never giving up on me and always believing in me. I'd like to thank my younger brother Ma for really leading the way, and Ma's really the one that pushed me. He always saw the good in me, and he always tried to understand why I was doing the things I was doing. And he's every opportunity that I have now has come from him, and I've hopefully done the same for him now. But yeah, he's really the one that's pushed me from the start. I'd like to thank the rest of my younger siblings for believing in me now. They look at me in a positive light and they want to be like me, you know, and they want to achieve and strive for something greater. I'd like to thank the organisations that I work with, 16 Yards, Think Village. They're really the first people to believe in me professionally. They've contributed a massive amount into the young man I am today, and for putting me in positions that I never thought I could be in, you know. I'd also like to thank my South Sudanese Australian community for believing in me and accepting me back into this pro-social life and really wrapping your arms around me and supporting me and championing me. I feel like this is just the start. There is plenty more to come, and there is going to be plenty more young men, maybe even more better than me, smarter than me, actually definitely better than me, smarter than me, with more experiences that will completely change the way that South Sudanese Australians are looked at.